Good morning. Let's try this again. This is my third attempt this morning at doing this post, and for whatever reason I guess I just needed to be in a different place. My name is Betty, and I wanted to talk a little bit about day 9 of my silent meditation. Hey Carlos again, and Eddie, and I wanted to start by talking about this week for me, because it has been a very difficult week. My brother had a seizure and was hospitalized. And good morning, Eddie. And as I was thinking about Vipassana and the 10-day silent meditation, and day 9, which was toward the end of the trainings. Oh, good, Carlos, I'm glad. I found a quiet spot, and it's not by the water or the waterfall like I had before, but this is nice, and there's some greenery here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my learnings and my insight as I was reading about day 9 and the teachings of Vipassana. It came really clear to me that the last days of my brother are approaching, my brother's life. He has stage 4 cancer. He has a glioblastoma in his brain, and it's on this side, and it's now butterflied, and it's now gone to both sides. And so we are, for the last 2 days, 2 days this week, I spent almost 24/7 with him in the hospital, and talking to him and really getting insight from him, as I usually do. And this is my oldest brother. And as I was learning about and going back and doing a lot of meditation, because the meditation has really helped me deal with the pain and deal with the grief in a totally different way than I normally would. Normally I would just really look at the pain and internalize the pain, and this time it's different. It's I'm looking at the pain objectively. And if you were able to take a look at my previous recordings, and I've been doing recordings on the 10-day silent meditation, one day at a time, because there were so many insights that I learned from each of the days. I just had to put all of the recordings separately for each day, because there's so much of wisdom that is embedded in it, and I learned so much. I just had to share it freely because it was freely given to me. My brother's memory is going away, his short-term memory, and this week I put him on FaceTime with my Aunt Ruby, and he was so happy. And then immediately I put him on FaceTime with my cousin Herman, and Herman asked him, "Did you talk to Aunt Ruby?" And he said, no, I've been trying to get a hold of Aunt Ruby, and I didn't get a hold of her, and I haven't been able to talk to her, and we had just hung up from talking to her. And so I started saying, well, do you remember that she talked about her eye? And he looked at me, he says, oh, I do remember she talked about her eye. That's very interesting. And he's taking, so his comment of, that's very interesting, as opposed to the comment of, oh my goodness, I'm devastated, I don't remember, and my body's deteriorating, or anything like that. What I'm learning from him is the opportunity to really take a look at things objectively. And it's difficult as it is to kind of go through this. One of the things that I've learned in the Vipassana is living in gratitude is just such a different place to be. I was so grateful for the nurses. I was so grateful for the opportunity to read to him this book, of this brand new book that just came out. Hey Liz. And I was just so grateful to be able to have partaken in those 2 days of what could have been a nightmare of 2 days, and making those 2 days an opportunity to get quality time with my brother, who will be passing away because of this cancer. So I want to make a kind of a transition between what I'm learning and how this silent meditation is really supporting me and helping me in handling what could possibly be a devastating time in my life, which it is. But it's really interesting how we are able, how I am able to just really take a look at it objectively and see it. I think when we have somebody that is terminally ill in our family, or something devastating happens in our family, or with someone that we're really close, we tend to internalize everything. And one of the things, and I took some notes as usual from the silent meditation, and from the research that I've done this week so that I could share with you. And there are different things that we do to with any outside stimuli, and you've seen this before, but I'm going to show it to you. I wrote this morning. Cognizing meaning recognizing and looking at something, and then observing it, but observing it objectively, and then we feel sensations in our body, and then we choose to react however we choose to react. Hi Iman, and hi Suzanne. And the whole process of really understanding our body in such a way that we can feel the sensations in our body, and we can feel if the sensations are negative sensations to something, to an outside stimuli that is negative, or the sensations are positive sensations to an outside stimuli that is positive. We make a story in our head about what that sensation is and what that is, and because we feel our bodies before our brain engages, we're able to stop the reaction, and whether it be a poor me reaction or a slashing out at somebody reaction, we're able to stop it before it starts, because, good morning Iman, because we are able to feel the sensations in our body. Well, I've been able to feel very strong sensations this week because of a couple of things that have happened in my life. One of them had to be with my daughter's father, and something negative that happened, and the other with my brother having a seizure that he had this week. And the seizure landed him in the hospital, and I was able to be the one to take care of him this week in the hospital, and to create some miracles so that we could make some good things happen, so that he can have quality of life for the short time lifespan he's got. A very short lifespan now. And this is the first time that I'm actually talking openly about this. Because I think what I learned from watching his reaction, and coupling that with what I learned in the 10-day silent meditation, was, wow, I can't believe that this is exactly how he's dealing with this. And no wonder he is in such surrender, and no wonder he's dealing with this in such a good way, and no wonder he's in such gratitude, and no wonder he's not devastated over the fact that he's going to be dying soon. And no wonder he's focusing on making a difference in the world. And he has, with Josefa Salinas, he has a radio show that he is doing, and he's talking about wisdom, and he's talking about how to live life. What a better person to learn from about living life than from someone who's dying and who's really taken a look at it. And he's a philosopher. I mean, he studied philosophy in college, and such a wise person. And so let me make that distinction for you. Hey Dolly, let me make the distinction for you of what I have learned with my brother this week, having been in the hospital with a terminal illness, and what I have learned from Vipassana, and how I see the Vipassana come come really hand in hand with everything that I've learned from my brother this week. And I'm only going to talk a little bit because I've got a meeting to go to, but I didn't want to go to this meeting without posting something this morning because it's so huge. Ana Maria, ¿cómo estás? It's so huge. In life, we have different feelings. We have the feeling of craving for something that we really want, or we have the feeling of aversion to something that we don't want. When something we want is we're craving promotion, we're craving time with loved ones that are no longer here, we're craving whatever it is you're craving, time with someone that is rejecting you and you really want them, then you lose your objectivity when you begin to crave so badly that you will not rest until you get that. You lose your objectivity, you lose your ability to think straight. Likewise, when you are rejecting something that is negative, which I could have rejected this week, the pain or being with my brother or whatever, when we reject something, we also lose our objectivity because we made up something in our head that said, maybe this is something negative and therefore I don't want this in my life. And how dare we make those decisions when we don't really have the facts and we are not looking at things objectively. The other piece is ignorance, which comes right close to this. So we talked about craving, aversion, and now ignorance. When we make up our mind that something is positive without really knowing the facts, or when we make up our mind that something is negative without really knowing the facts, then we are in a place of ignorance, and that's a place that we need to get completely out of and really get in tune with our bodies and get in tune with ourselves and really realize, am I looking at this objectively? Do I have all the facts before I make up my mind on something and before I react? And then realizing too that everything that comes goes. There's nothing that is permanent in life. Oh my gosh, as I'm saying it, I'm realizing everything and anyone in our lives is passing by, and there is no permanence in life. So when we look at things from that perspective, we realize, wow, okay, so we're all here, and this situation is going to go. Whatever situation it is, it's just a little time. My mother used to say, esto es un pasoncito nada más, viejita, no te preocupes. This is only just a little time in life. Don't worry. And that's exactly what it was. So my brother couldn't remember something, and he said, wow, that's really interesting. And then he was looking at things objectively, just like I have been talking about. And here's someone who's looking at death because he's going to be passing away shortly. Shortly meaning within the next few months. And he knows that. He knows the prognosis. And he's looking at his body deteriorating. And it's almost like he's studying his body and like he is taking a look at it from an objective standpoint. So as I was pondering upon this and listening to the discourses so that I could do this post today about day 9, I realized, oh my gosh, it's been right in front of me all along. And you know, I've been meditating a lot more since my brother took a turn for the worse. And even this week when I felt like just going out and and I remember thinking, I just want to go and have a glass of wine or something, and then instead I went home and I meditated, and how soothing it was to just be with my own thoughts and looking at things subjectively, and how wonderful it was. And I didn't want to be with anyone. I just wanted to be with my own thoughts, and I just wanted to be with myself. And how wonderful it is to be in a place where you can actually look at things objectively like that, and seeing how he is currently handling his own situation. He looks forward to this radio show. It's called Millennial Wisdom. and he does this with Josefa Salinas, and you probably know her, many of you, in Los Angeles, and how he's able to talk about his time with Joanna, his daughter, and his time with the family, and how he's able to talk and instruct people how to live life by the minute, how to be present, and all of these things that I have been talking about with this 10-day silent meditation retreat, and the lessons and the wisdom I learned from the silent meditation retreat, and how grateful I am to have today, to have my brother and to have my other brothers. We're getting together hopefully today, and in celebrating life every day, and in looking at things and people and the people around us from such a place where we can actually celebrate our time together instead of really focusing outside. One of the things that Cuenca says is, and I'm reading from my notebook, 100% of misery happens from the inside, and likewise 100% of joy happens from the inside. And we've heard that we can't go into a relationship expecting the other person to make us happy. Likewise, we can't say that the other person is the one that's making us misery. It's us. It's our own experience of, or the story we made up about the other person that's making us either happy or miserable. And we have full control of our reaction. We don't have control over what the other person says to us, but we have 100% control of how we react to what the other person says. It's really interesting. I had an opportunity to have a conversation with someone this week, and they made a story about what I said or the research that was done or something, and then they made up their own mind of how they're going to handle it, and they chose to be a certain way. And it, you know, that goes into the place of ignorance, and how wonderful it is to be able to, instead of making up our minds and having sleepless nights over something, wouldn't it be wonderful if we just got out of that ignorance and said, picked up the phone and said, what did you mean by that? Or how did you come up with this decision? Or what was it? And so then, and only then, are we able to have a peaceful life and have a joyous life and not have to make up ideas. So this week and this weekend, when we are going about our day, I would ask you to join me in really focusing on gratitude, also focusing on understanding that our mind usually tends to make up stories about what's happening around us, and really focusing on getting out of those stories and getting out of the ignorance and asking rather than making up our own mind about what's going on in somebody else's mind. You're very welcome, Iman. It's really interesting. And then looking at things objectively. So let's take a look at things objectively. Look at my brother. And I'm seeing him, and he's not in misery at all. He is in complete surrender. And good morning, Alex, my daughter. Mwah, love you. And seeing how he was just so inquisitive about, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this is happening, and wow, that's really interesting that my body is deteriorating in this way, and let me just look at this objectively. What does this mean? Instead of putting it inside and saying, oh my gosh, I can't remember, or I'm miserable, or my life, or whatever, he's focusing on what can I do with what I have. And this is one thing that President Bush said, the father, when I met him personally for the first time. He was talking about the country. He was saying, it's not what we have, but what we do with what we have that makes the difference. And I've internalized that for me in my life, and I've seen this in my brother as he continues to deteriorate. I've seen him say, what am I going to do with what I have? And he's doing this radio show, and every time you have a conversation with him, he wants to impart wisdom upon you, and he wants it to be worth it that he was on this earth. And what would it be like if all of us did the same thing in our lives, and we didn't wait until we had a terminal illness or until we knew that something terrible was going to happen or anything like that. You know, Ana Maria is saying being present and grateful even for the challenges we have can get us past the difficulties that come to us. It is always a matter of perception, and us. You can say we can control that. Yes, absolutely, we can control that, and it is about our own perception. So hopefully you'll be able to please share this post. I really want this to go to different places. I think it's a huge lesson that we can learn, certainly from my brother, and certainly from Vipassana, from the silent meditation retreat that I went. Day 9 was a really significant day because we had been silent for 9 days. I'm going to come back next week, or maybe I'll come back during the week this week as I continue to go through this journey with my brother and make those connections of what I'm learning from and I'm going deeper from the 10-day silent meditation, and with my experience with my brother Fernando. I ask you for prayers as we continue to really have the medication so that he can have quality of life, and so that he can continue to see, thank you Dolly, see the beauty in life, and let us all just, you know, enjoy life and enjoy the beauty of God's creation and be in gratitude for the things and the people we have around us while we have them around us. Thank you so much for watching and for joining me, and please, please, please share this. I want other people to learn this too, because it's huge, and I think this world will be a better place if we start looking at life in our people around us in that manner. Thank you so much. Bye, Suzanne. Thank you for your words. Bye now.